the National Football League. Today, the Chicago Bears against the New Orleans Saints.
Live from the Superdome in Orleans, Louisiana, the Bears and the New Orleans Saints. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here at the Superdome. And, Johnny, of course, many of the fans looking in the Chicago area are seeing their Bears on television for the first time this season. They have a win. They have a loss. They came back last week to beat Tampa Bay with a good defensive effort. Terry Schmidt taking in the score. Where are the Bears in Week 3?
Well, I think a lot of Bear fans would like to know that, Tim. What about the defense? Are they going to have to save the offense all year, or can the offense get some sustained drives? As you know, they've gained almost 800 yards in total offense in 2 games, yet only have 2 touchdowns to call for it. So we're going to find out what's going to happen there. Jim McMahon will be the starting quarterback again.
Defensively, the Bears have been solid through the first 2 games today. They've got to contend with a rising, good young team. Many think is headed for the playoffs. And, of course, they got a good old quarterback in Kenny Stabler.
Kenny Stabler, the Bears are going to have to stop him. As you know, he's an old pro, been around 14 years, and he's a good one. He has a sore knee. A lot of teams think that you should blitz him because he's not very mobile anymore. But a lot of teams also think, hey, as soon as I blitz him, he's so good at dumping the pass off. So we'll have to see how the Bears approach that situation. Will they blitz Kenny Stabler, or will they drop off and let Kenny Stabler pass? We'll see on that situation. Wayne Wilson is on the spot. As you know, last year, Rodgers was also injured. Wilson came on and gained all those yards, 138 yards, did a great job against the Bears. And we're almost ready for the kickoff.
Well, the Saints have won the toss. They'll receive the ball and defend the south goal. You're looking at Bob Thomas, number 16, who will kick it off for the Chicago Bears in white. Deep for the Saints, you see Kenny Duckett, and Rich Motti is up at the 20-yard line, along with Hokie Gaijan, and we are underway. It's going to come down to Motti at the 10. Motti over the 15, 25, almost to the 28-yard line, where Mark Bortz, reserve lineman for the Chicago Bears, made the tackle. And for the Saints offensively, it'll be Kenny Stabler at quarterback with Wayne Wilson and George Rogers spot. Hokie Gaijan, the fullback. Lindsey Scott and Jeff Groth, the wide receivers. Lafari, Edelman, Hill, Oubre, Brock, and Hobie Brenner across the front. Edelman playing with a pinched nerve in his neck. First down from the 28-yard line. Ken Stabler has been bothered with a sore knee, suffered in game 1 of this season. Brings out 2 tight ends, Brenner and Hardy. A quick clear out to Duckett. Duckett shakes off 1 tackler and gets over the 30-yard line for a gain of about 3. He's pulled down by Singletary and Fensick. Defensively for the Bears, Mike Hartenstein, Osborne, Hampton, and Harris across the front. Linebackers are Wilson, Singletary, and Brian Cabral still in for the injured Campbell. Richardson, Frazier, Bell, and Fensick the secondary for Chicago. Gary Campbell went on injured reserve this week, still recovering from a knee injury, and Jerry Muckenstern has been activated. 2nd and 8 for the Saints. Wayne Wilson trying the middle of the Chicago defensive line. Picked up about a yard, stacked up there by Osborne. And we'll call it 3rd and about 7 for the New Orleans Saints.
Very interesting on the first play of the game, the first down situation. Stabler went to the air. They're going to try and do that probably a lot against the Rams. They threw on first down 19 times. So we'll see what the strategy is there, as they now have a 3rd down passing situation.
6 defensive backs in for Buddy Ryan's defense of the Chicago Bears, and Stabler wants to throw. Got a man open in the middle and a first down over the 40-yard line. And it is Lindsey Scott, number 80, the second-year man from Georgia.
Well, the Bears came after Stabler a little bit, a little crisscross with the defensive lineman, but Stabler got back with that quick pass, and there you see Scott come across the middle, one-on-one on Leslie Frazier, and so far the Saints got that first drive going. At least they get a first down. That's better than punting on your first possession, right?
10-yard gain for the Saints in a first down. Duckett and Scott, the wide receivers. 1 setback is Wayne Wilson. Stabler is sacked by Dan Hampton. Stabler trying to move out of the pocket, moved right into big Dan Hampton, number 99, 5-year man from Arkansas, and a loss of about 7, maybe 8 yards on the play.
Okay, Stabler went back, was going to throw to Hobie Brenner out there, but Brian Cabral had him covered. Stabler wisely did not throw the ball. He could have had an interception, and you saw Dan Hampton, 99, break off the block. by Brad Edelman and make the sack. Dan Hampton playing with a very bad finger that got infected. It's broken, fractured, and he has to tape it. And it's pretty hard to grab onto somebody, but he did that time.
2nd and 17 for the Saints. Stabler has time. Sideliner is complete. Picked up about 7 yards on the play. Lindsey Scott, number 80, driven out on the far side by Walt Williams, number 43, into the Bears secondary as an extra defensive back, and it brings it back near the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and about 10 and a half.
We should talk about Stabler's knee. He has, as you know, a chronic left knee problem. Well, earlier this season, he hurt his right knee, so he's playing with really 2 bad knees.
3 wide receivers in. Eugene Goodlow joining Duckett and Scott. Stabler has the time, and Goodlow cannot get to the ball. It is out of bounds. On the coverage was Walt Williams on the rookie Eugene Goodlow, a 3-year veteran of the Canadian Football League that the Saints had drafted in 1982 out of Kansas State.
Okay, you can take a look at the Bears' defensive coverage here, and the key here was that Stabler had to throw a lot further. He's not as effective on the longer pass, and it was Walt Williams, the 6th defensive back, just covering Goodlow man for man, and had the pass been a little bit better, it would have been completed. But Stabler, as you know, Tim, gets a little less effective the farther you throw down the field.
Russell Erxleben is in for the first punt of the afternoon, and there is Jeff Fisher, number 24 of the Bears, awaiting it at the Chicago 20-yard line. Erxleben has punted 9 times in 2 games for a 44.7-yard average. That has him first in the NFC, and a little delay here.
And they're playing on a brand new carpet down there, Tim. It's a new artificial surface they put on here at the Superdome, so maybe it's a little softer. Maybe it's not worn out as much, huh?
Well, you know that, of course, the players don't like to play on the carpets much at all, but I'm sure they appreciate a new one if it is a little bit softer. Erxleben will hit it from the 30-yard line. Pretty good punt. Fisher takes it at his own 17. Straight ahead over the 25 to the 27-yard line, where the Chicago Bears will have their first offensive series of the football game here in New Orleans. We have 12:16 remaining in the first period. There is no score. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at the Superdome. A 42-yard punt by Russell Erxleben, giving Chicago their first offensive series of the day from their own 28-yard line. And Walter Payton is the lone setback. They have 2 tight ends in to start the football game. Jay Saldi with Emery Moorhead. Bashnagle and Marjoram, the wide receivers in motion. Moorhead, play action. McMahon to Bashnagle, and it's complete for a first down. And he is hit by Dave Waymer, number 44, out at the Chicago Bears 46-yard line. A nice-looking play to start the game.
That was a nice fake to Payton up the middle. As you'll see, Moorhead run right through the hole there like they're going to just draw the draw to Walter Payton. And McMahon hid the ball very well. And there came Bashnagle down on the quick post on a nice play. A fake of the draw, then the quick pass.
Jim McMahon comes in with 36 completions and 53 attempts, passing at 67.9 through 2 games. Dennis McKinnon is in at wide receiver, the rookie number 85, joining Marjoram. Moorhead in motion. Payton, wide left. Cannot make the turn. Good defensive pursuit for the New Orleans Saints. And it was number 94, the right defensive end, Jim Wilkes from San Diego State, making the stop on Payton. Clark, Derlin Moore, and Wilkes across the front 3 for the Saints. Ricky Jackson, Jim Kovach, Dennis Winston, Whitney Paul, an active linebacking group. Waymer and Poe on the corners. Russell Gary, his first game back after hurting a hamstring in the preseason. Frank Watlett, the other safety with him.
There have been a
game.
lot of hamstring pulls on both of these teams and several teams throughout the NFL this year.
Gary, an outstanding second-year man from Nebraska. They're glad to have him back. 2nd and 8. Bashnagle and Willie Galt, now the wide receivers. Bashnagle in motion. Short drop, and McMahon in trouble. Gets it off to Payton. Incomplete. Flags down, where McMahon was dropped by the Saints, and there will be a personal foul charged against the New Orleans Saints, the preliminary signal, as McMahon apparently had released the ball before he took that hit. Wilkes and Clark had quite a rush on him. McMahon was lucky to get it away at all.
He tried to throw it off to Payton, who really took a shot from Jackson and Derlin Moore on the ground. So the Bears got roughed up, ended up with the call, and they'll be in New Orleans territory.
75.
It is Bruce Clark charged with the foul. Fred Wyatt, the referee. Joining him today, Tony Viteri, Dick Cantak, Chuck McCallum, Dave Moss, Wilson Gossier, and Royal Cathcart. The officials working the game. There is Bruce Clark, another refugee from the Canadian League out of Penn State. Drafted by Green Bay, went to Toronto, played well there, and the Saints acquired him in a deal with Green Bay. His second year now with New Orleans. First down for the Bears in Saints territory at the 38. McMahon up the middle, complete to the tight end, and that is Jay Saldi, number 81, acquired from the Dallas Cowboys, and that moves the ball to the 29-yard line of New Orleans, short of a first down, but the Bears, with help from that penalty, are now deeper into New Orleans territory.
They seem to be mixing the offense up real well. McMahon has completed 67% of these passes the first 2 weeks. We just saw Kenny Marjoram bring in the play. They're going with the one-back offense this entire drive. We have not seen Matt Suhey. Emery Moorhead is the rover back, and Saldi is the other tight end.
Second and a yard inside the 30 of New Orleans. Ashnagel and Marjoram
Blitz.
wide. They pick it up well. A pass to Saldi. Nice catch for Saldi down to the 11-yard line. McMahon with a perfect floater to Saldi, but he still had to reach up and make the grab on it. First down, Chicago.
And it was Whitney Paul, number 51, who had to cover Saldi all the way across the field. You'll see Saldi come into your picture, and there is Whitney Paul, number 51, on the chase. And that's a pretty tough job to cover a tight end all the way across the field as Saldi makes a nice grab. The man that Mike Ditka personally chose, he got him from the Dallas Cowboys, said he can help this team.
The 8-year man from South Carolina's got some fans in the house today. Jay Saldi. It is first down for the Chicago Bears. They are at the 13-yard line of the New Orleans Saints in their opening offensive series. Walter Payton is stacked up at the line of scrimmage. A horde of black-shirted Saints pulling him down just over the line of scrimmage, led by Derlin Moore, number 74, the nose tackle, and Dennis Winston, who has been a tower of strength at linebacker in the first couple of games for New Orleans, the former Steeler.
And he comes from that mold of tough defensive players that the Steelers had, and New Orleans made a good deal when they picked him up. Derlin Moore made a nice play in there. He's the nose guard. As you know, they use a lot of 3-4 defense, Tim, and that nose guard can take a lot of punishment in there, a lot of double-team blocks as the Bears still in the one-back offense.
Payton got 2 yards in his own inimitable fashion. Looked like he'd been stopped for less. Second and 8. Ball at the 10-yard line. Payton again skips away from one tackler, gets down to the 7-yard line of New Orleans. Tripped up momentarily by Winston, but made it down to the 7 before Wilkes was the man who finally pinned him. Number 94, Jim Wilkes. Third down for Chicago. They need to get to the 2-yard line for a first down. Interesting play situation here. 4 new defenders come in for the Saints. They send in Reggie Lewis, Frank Warren, and Tony Elliott along the front.
They will have 4 rushmen rather than the 3-4 defense.
And Bruce Clark is the other one. One setback is Payton. In motion behind the ball comes Dennis McKinnon. Play action. Payton McMahon under pressure, throws back the other way, and it's complete to Willie Gault. Touchdown! Jim McMahon to Willie Gault. And McMahon throwing all the way across to his left after being chased out of the pocket, and the Bears have opened the scoring.
What a super play by McMahon and Willie Gault, but especially it was McMahon who was rolling out, had to throw all the way back. Watlett was on the coverage of Gault, who was going the opposite direction of McMahon. He got around the horn. He's so effective when he gets outside that pocket. Goes all the way back. It was a little bit of a blooper, but there was enough clearance there, and Watlett couldn't get there in time. And Willie Gault has his first touchdown in the National Football League.
And the first touchdown scored by the Bears in the first quarter so far this season. Game number 3. Bob Thomas will attempt the point after. Bashnagel to hold. It is good. And so the Chicago Bears, with an impressive-looking opening offensive series, have marched down the field in the Superdome to take a 7-0 lead over the New Orleans Saints. We have 8:16 remaining in the first quarter of play. Well, Notre Dame and Miami, the nighttime game. The Irish trying to rebound from that upset loss to Michigan State yesterday. But in the afternoon, starting it all off, Ohio State, a big winner over Oklahoma against Iowa. Tulane, they had a huge upset over Florida State right here in the Superdome last night against Kentucky. Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. All next Saturday on the NCAA coverage. And here is Bob Thomas for the Chicago Bears. The deep men are Motti and Duckett for the New Orleans Saints. It'll be Duckett from his 5. Duckett running a long way laterally, and he now turns it upfield. Kenny Duckett to the 41-yard line.
And he's supposed to have a slightly pulled hamstring muscle. He didn't run like it to me. He has been exciting all exhibition and during the regular season for the New Orleans Saints. Now, notice there, he takes it way over to the right. They had obviously a middle return, decided to go all the way to the left. And had it not been for some hustling by Dave Duerson, Duckett would have gone all the way. 22 will come from the right of your screen. He was forced one way by Fisher, which slowed his speed down, and Duerson makes the tackle. Another electrifying run by Kenny Duckett.
Big play for the young man from Wake Forest. First down. It is Wayne Wilson straight ahead for about 2 to the Bears' 38-yard line. And it is Osborne and Hampton on the tackle with the linebacker Wilson. Otis Wilson, number 55.
You know, it really was a persistent kickoff return, because usually when a ball is kicked way over on the right like that, Tim, they say, okay, we call off our middle or left return, we'll just go up and get what we can get. But Duckett has such good speed, they decided to stick with it and go all the way across the field.
The Bears took their first offensive series, 72 yards, 7 plays, used up 4 minutes on the clock. And Ken Stabler, the Snake, trying to bring the Saints right back. Goodlow and Groth, the wide receivers. Stabler under pressure, sideliner, complete to Jeff Groth. Groth gets to the Bears' 35-yard line. A gain of about 5 on the play. He's hauled down by Todd Bell, number 25. Jeff Groth, the man Snake Stabler refers to as being reminiscent to him of Biletnikoff, Freddie Biletnikoff of the Oakland Raiders days. Says he's just a little faster than Freddie, and he refers to him as his Mr. Clutch. Well, he found him there.
Kenny Stabler is the NFL's all-time leading percentage passer, over 60% during a 14-year career.
6 defensive backs in for the Bears on 3rd and a long 3. They really set up a pocket for Stabler, and the pass is complete to Lindsey Scott. First down, New Orleans. To the Bears' 16-yard line. Leslie Frazier made the tackle.
Interesting pattern. They had nobody in the defensive backfield. There goes Lindsey Scott across. They crisscrossed and confused the Bear defensive back. Terry Schmidt was on the coverage, and Scott got a hold of the ball and then turned on his speed, and Schmidt gets in on the tackle, number 44. But they just crisscrossed the 2 receivers there, and they had no backs, no remaining backs.
Well, they really made a pocket for Kenny Stabler. They had 2 men on the wings forming a pocket. We'll watch for that again. First down for New Orleans. Short drop, and sideliner intended for Groth is incomplete. 2nd and 10 for the New Orleans Saints, threatening to tie things up at the Bears' 17-yard line.
And you can really get an idea how it's difficult to blitz Kenny Stabler. A lot of his passes now have been the 1-2 pass, the 1-2-3, the short pocket. And see, by the time you get ready for your pass rush, the ball is gone, and that's discouraging, actually, to a defensive lineman. So it's going to be up to the Bear defensive backs to cover tight if they're going to stop New Orleans.
2nd and 10, Brenner and Hardy, double tight ends. Quick pass to Groth, and he almost snuck through a pair of Bear defenders. He's at the 4-yard line. Let's make it the 3 between Frazier and Fensick. Jeff Groth.
There it is. You see Groth against Leslie Frazier, 21, and they have him inside-outside, but the timing was so good, nothing could be done about it. And Kenny Stabler, you can't put the pressure on him when he does that to you. As long as they can do that, they'll be able to move up and down the field.
First and goal for the New Orleans Saints. They're at the 3-yard line of the Chicago Bears. The kickoff return by Kenny Duckett, setting them up. And now they're on the doorstep. The give is to Hokie Gaijan. Gaijan is at the goal line. Touchdown. Hokie Gaijan, the 3rd-year man from LSU, starting at fullback because Wayne Wilson is in George Rogers' spot at halfback.
Hokie Gaijan just followed off to the right, gets a good block there by Wilson, the other Wilson, Tim Wilson, and pulls his way into the end zone for the touchdown. A young man who's got a break. You know, he doesn't like to say I got a break because somebody got hurt, especially Rodgers, but it did give him a chance to play last week, and he's playing this week and got himself a touchdown.
In for the point after, Morton Anderson. Perkins holding. It is good. And we have a tie football game. Go back and take another look at Guyjon's touchdown run.
There you can see the pile up right there, and you can see some of the Bears are moved back a little bit. Otis Wilson was moved back. A lot of pressure there from Wilson and Guyjon. Nothing was going to stop him, as we have the makings of a high-scoring football game, I think.
We've got 5:05 remaining in the first period, and the New Orleans Saints have tied things up at 7-7. Anderson's kickoff up, Boomer deep into the end zone. Willie Gull almost back at the end line, will not bring it out. So the Danish-born Anderson really pops a kickoff.
You know, Tim, they had an interesting drive. I'm talking about the Chicago Bears. As you look at the Saints drive, 6 plays, 41 yards. The score now tied 7-7. If I remember correctly, Peyton carried a couple of times for 2 or 3 yards. Otherwise, the rest of that entire drive were all other players aside from Peyton. Peyton was not a factor as far as ball carrying or catching passes in that last drive, and that has not been the case in the first 2 games.
That's correct. Indeed, McMahon was 4 of 4 on that scoring drive. Walter Payton, the lone setback again. They started the game this way. It worked for them. They'll stay with it. Bashnagle in motion. The pitch is to Payton, trying to get wide left. Nowhere to go. Brings it back the other way. And the Saints shut him down for a gain of about a yard. Ricky Jackson turned him back inside, and then he was covered by Dave Waymer. It'll turn out to be about a 1-yard gain, maybe a half yard. Good defensive work by the Saints. Let's look quickly around the rest of the NFL. We've got some scores in. The 49ers in front of St. Louis, 7-0 in the first period. Green Bay leading the Rams, a game of great interest to Bears fans. Jan Stenerud's field goal. Kansas City, a field goal up on Washington, the Super Bowl Redskins trailing. It is second and about 9.5. Dennis Gentry in the lineup now for the Chicago Bears. Play action fake to Gentry. McMahon has time. Sideline complete to Dennis McKinnon. First down, Chicago, out to their own 40-yard line. And Russell Gary and Dave Waymer, number 20 and 44, are there for the Saints.
Jim McMahon continues a high percentage of completions. This time, not too much pressure. He does have to go out to the right, but McKinnon just goes down, comes back, and runs a nice pattern. McMahon waits for it, and that's what you call a precision. Even though that pass took longer, he went 18 yards on his deep stop rather than 12 yards, and it wound up being a precision pass.
So it is first down, Chicago, from their own 40-yard line. Again, the single setback. They give us to Dennis Gentry. Gentry skips out away from traffic and picks up about 6 yards to the 46-yard line of Chicago. Stopped there by Johnny Poe, the cornerback, number 25, and Frank Watlett, the safety.
I wonder if something happened to Peyton on that last play, because he is not back in here on the second down situation. And I know that if Peyton was healthy, or if there's not an equipment problem, Walter Payton would be in this football game. So we'll have to check that out for you.
2nd and 4. Gentry continues at the lone setback in the spot normally held by Payton. They have a winger in the slot left. Now back in motion behind the ball is McKinnon. Rolling to his right, McMahon. The pressure on. Goes back the other way to Seldy. He's got lots of room with blockers. But a good defensive play by Whitney Paul, number 51. He got the first down, but credit Whitney Paul for breaking up what looked like a serious situation for the Saints.
Watch the left side of the Bear line. Everybody's pulling. The tackle, the guard, everybody's pulling to the right. When you pull a tackle like that, you draw all the defensive linemen and everybody with you. And Whitney Paul, as you mentioned, made a heck of a play because it was a tight end screen back to the other side, and he played off the block there by number 78, Keith Van Horn, and made the tackle on Salty. The Bears did get a first down, but they could have had a lot more.
Boy, could they ever. He was all by himself over there, Whitney Paul, doing a defensive job. And his first down, Chicago, at the 49 of New Orleans.
Peyton's back in there.
Peyton back in, has the football. Trying to go straight ahead, breaks a tackle, and then is shut down after a gain of about 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 right now for an NFL update. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Till it's 3rd and 15 for the San Francisco 49ers. Joe Montana drops back. Freddie Sullivan on a fly pattern. He's got the safeties beat. It is a 69-yard touchdown, and San Francisco leads St. Louis by 7. Back to Tim.
All right, Fred. And so the 49ers trying to regain their glory of 2 years back. They're off to a good start this afternoon. It is 2nd and 7. Dennis Gentry is back in at the setback position. McMahon going deep. A bullet. And it is incomplete. Just slightly overthrown. Intended for Willie Galt. And Johnny Poe had the coverage for the Saints, number 25, watching that world-class sprinter blow by him.
There was a little collision there, and
a little bit off.
Right, they had a little collision. As you'll watch Galt go down with Poe, and they tie up a little bit, which slows Galt down right here. Poe was claiming that Galt pushed him a little bit, and down he went, and he clicked Galt on the back of the heels there, and just stopped him just slightly. The pass would have been an easy touchdown.
McMahon was 6 for 6 until that incompletion, and it wasn't an incompletion by much. It also indicated those who think he can't get deep with the ball, the ball was very much there. Out of the shotgun on 3rd down, McMahon scrambling. First down, Jim McMahon into the 38-yard line of the New Orleans Saints. Ricky Jackson forced him out of bounds, the linebacker number 57 for the Saints. 1:03 remaining here in this first period, and we have had an offensive fireworks display.
That's right, and you can't let McMahon out of the pocket like that. He is so quick. I was talking to Bum Phillips yesterday. He says the thing about McMahon, he feels that McMahon is more effective out of the pocket than he is in the pocket, and I agree with that because McMahon throws so well on the run, but he also has great presence of mind, and that time some people might think he left too soon, but he got the first down.
The Bears at the 36-yard line of New Orleans. A pitch out to Dennis Gentry. Gentry, a nice move inside the linebacker, Kovac. Then a loose ball. And it is recovered by the Saints. Dennis Gentry, who had just made a beautiful move on Kovac, was hit, and Dave Waymer came up with a loose football. So the Saints stopped the Bears' drive.
Okay, it was Dennis Gentry and not Walter Payton. As Gentry cut back nicely here, let's see if we can see who knocks that ball loose. It looked like number 52.
Number 52.
Yeah, I think Kovac knocked loose after he had been faked out and came from the back side.
Good recovery by Kovac, and Dave Waymer, number 44, came up with the ball. The Saints will start from their 31 when we return. We are back at New Orleans, and you see Walter Payton stretching out that leg. He apparently hurt his right knee, Johnny, and missed the last couple of plays of the Bears' offensive series.
Well, let's hope it's not serious. He has never had knee problems. He must have twisted it slightly, and that's why we're seeing Dennis Gentry playing quite a bit.
So the Saints have taken over on Waymer's fumble recovery. Wayne Wilson going straight ahead to the 35-yard line, picked up about 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 for New Orleans. We are tied at 7 with time winding down in the first period. Green Bay has now taken a 10-0 lead over the Rams on a 1-yard score by Eddie Lee Ivory. Baltimore in front of Buffalo 3-0. Frank Kush trying to rally those Colts. New England leading the Jets 13-0 in the first period.
Well, maybe they'll get their first victory of the season, and that's bad news for the Jets. They lost to Seattle last week.
2nd down and 7 for New Orleans, and Wayne Wilson running hard straight ahead, picked up about 4 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd down for the Saints and 2 to go. Well, don't forget, coming up later today, the New York Giants and Dallas, the second half of our doubleheader, and the Cowboys opening at home, and that's always a tough game. The Giants and the Cowboys coming up next. You heard the gun sounding the end of the first quarter here at the Superdome in New Orleans, and we have had a most entertaining first period of play. The score is tied, the Bears 7 and the Saints 7. Back at the Superdome in New Orleans, and George Rogers wearing his jersey but no pads. He's out with a knee injury, and currently this season 248 yards in the first 2 games. They hope to have him back possibly next week, and certainly the week after should be ready to go. It is 3rd and a long 2 for the Saints. Stabler under pressure, eludes one rusher, and has a completion and a first down to Jeff Gross. Number 86. is Clutch Blair from Bowling Green has a first down for the Saints to their own 46-yard line.
A pretty good adjustment in the pocket there by Stabler on that play. As you can see Groth go down the field. You see Al Harris is playing a linebacker spot, number 90. He comes to Fensick, waits for him, goes back to the ball, and Stabler moved out of the pocket and hit him. And that's what Groth is so good at, is finding the little hole, and that's what Stabler's talking about.
Dan Hampton had the rush on Stabler, couldn't get him. Wayne Wilson, number 30, bashing straight ahead behind the lead block, but the Bears shut that down well, and that's Hampton, number 99. Now, looking at the stats in the first period of play, see the Bears had 7 first downs to 4 for New Orleans. It led in the rushing and passing departments as well, but they turned the ball over one time, and the Saints are trying to make do with that. Waymer's fumble recovery at the New Orleans 31, and this is the same offensive drive. 2nd and 9. Stabler has a man open. Hobie Brenner to the 30, to the 25-24-yard line for Hobie Brenner.
Oh, what a play by Kenny Stabler. He wanted to go to the wideouts, but they were both played very tight on the short pass. So Stabler, there was some pressure on Stabler, so he had to make the last-minute decision. His secondary and third receiver was Hobie Brenner, 85. He quickly got a hold of him and hit him right on the dime. And Brenner out of USC took it down the field. Not a lot of speed, but he's a big guy, 240-pound tight end. He says, I better just cover up and make sure I hang on to that ball as the Bears finally bring him down.
30-yard gain. Stabler to Hobie Brenner. Larry Hardy has come in to give him a breather. First down, New Orleans. Inside the Bears' 25. Stabler with lots of time. And it is incomplete, but flags everywhere. Richardson will be called for interfering with Lindsey Scott.
I think it was a good call. It looked like Richardson got there fast before the ball did. The young man out of Arizona State, the rookie, has been put on the corner and has been involved in a couple of heated plays that was beaten a couple of times, but hasn't played all that badly
number 27,
overall.
First down.
Okay, here's Scott, 80 at the right of your screen. He'll go down, break across. Here comes 27, Richardson. Does he hit him before the ball gets there? Yes, he does. Good call by the official.
Richardson had fallen down, as you could see. He slipped when Scott made the cut, and it looked like he was just going to take a chance, somehow get a piece of the receiver and hope he got away with it. He did not. The ball at the 14-yard line. Brenner and Hardy, double tight end. Groth in motions. Out of the eye, they give us to Wilson. Wilson to the 6-yard line. The Saints on the doorstep again. It is Al Harris making the tackle there with Singletary.
Good blocking by the left side of the Saints line, and good heads-up running by Wilson. He spotted the hole a little bit to the left of where it was supposed to be and ran for daylight like George Rogers does.
The ball at the 7. It is 2nd and 4 to go for a first down. They need again to get just inside the 3 for a first down. McMichael has come in defensively for the Bears. They have 5 down linemen. McGraw is out. Saints in the eye. Wilson trying to pick his way, gets a couple to the 5-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down. In shades of last week for the Chicago Bears, trying to hold out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which they were able to do. Now they have a 3rd and 2 at their own 5-yard line as the Saints are trying to take the lead. Groth comes out. Rich Motti, number 84, is in at wide receiver, apparently having brought in the play. Bears have Cabral back in and McMichael back out. Saints keep it on the ground, and it is Gaijan getting over the 5, close to the 3-yard line, but he may be short of the first down. See if this is going to bring up a 4th down. Yes, it will. They've spotted the ball at the 4-yard line. They need to get inside the 3 for a first down. And Bum Phillips sends in Morton Anderson to take the 3. There's Bum, no hat today. He says, my mommy told me never wear a hat indoors.
Well, I guess he decides this early in the game, hey, he'll take the 3. It's one of those calls that could be debated. You know, when you got 1 yard, you're down on the 4. If you don't make it, you still have the Bears bottled up, but he wants the 3.
Merkins will hold for Morton Anderson, and the left footer pops it through, and the New Orleans Saints have capitalized on the fumble recovery by Dave Waymer of Dennis Gentry's Chicago fumble, marched it down the field, and scored on the field goal with 10:46 to go in the first half. New Orleans by 3.
Do you want to see why the Saints didn't get their first down? You'll see Hartenstein jammed up there, but here comes 27. Mike Richardson, the cornerback, who got up in there tight and just got himself in the middle of the line, was able to make the stop.
Back live, we see Anderson's kickoff, another bomber into the end zone, and it will not be brought out as Willie Gault, 5 yards deep. Besides, discretion is the better part of valor.
I'd say that's the best defense against Willie Gault, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's right. 10:40 remaining in the first half. We'll be back after this commercial timeout. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at the Superdome, and you see the Chicago Bears on first down have been getting that all critical mileage, and there is Walter Payton, number 34, back in the Bears lineup. They will start from their 20-yard line with 10:40 to go in the first half, trailing New Orleans 10-7. Jim McMahon, 6 of 7 passing. On first down, will go to Payton. And Walter Payton over the 25 to the 26, a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. Dennis Winston made the tackle for the New Orleans Saints. Looks like it's coming back against the Bears on a holding call. You know, the Bears have 3 rookies in that offensive line that looked so impressive in the first 2 drives for Chicago today. Reeve Sori, the right guard, is out with a knee injury, and Kurt Becker, when I say a rookie, not technically speaking, but the second man from Michigan is effectively a rookie.
Number 63, first down.
Jay Hilgenberg, the center, number 63, in for Dan Neal, is charged with holding. And, of course, Rob Feta is playing for the injured Noah Jackson at left guard, and the tackle, number 1 pick, Jim Covert, number 74. So 2 bona fide rookies and an effective rookie in Kurt Becker in the offensive line for the Chicago Bears today. It is first and 20 from their own 10-yard line. McMahon near the goal line is dropped. Big defensive play by Derlin Moore, the nose tackle.
Boy, he was in there like a defensive end. Derlin Moore, who is the nose guard. And you're going to see Jay Hilgenberg as the center. He's over the center, 63. Gives him a little shuck to the right and just pushes him aside. And Derlin Moore gets in to put the clamps on Jim McMahon. So Derlin Moore really did a job that time, especially on center Jay Hilgenberg. Just made the quick move on him, and that really puts the Bears in a hole.
Second and 28. An 8-yard loss on the sack by Derlin Moore. Derlin Moore in his 138th game. He's the all-time Saint in that department. Timeout has been called by the Chicago Bears as they have a lot of things to consider. Second and 28 from their own 2-yard line. 10:05 to go in the half. The Saints by 3.
What happened to your Notre Dame team?
They got waxed, I'd have to say, by upset-minded Michigan State. And they have to get the things together again against tough Miami next Saturday night on CBS. Suey and Payton, the first time we've had the I formation in here on 2nd and 28. The Bears deep in their own end. And they give us to Payton. Payton has running room. Payton all the way out to the 15-yard line. And a big gainer out of a big hole for the Chicago Bears. Watlet and Waymer made the tackle for New Orleans.
Great individual running by Payton. It was kind of a counter. It looked like it was going to the left. He came back to the right and breaks the tackle there by Derlin Moore, 74, and that was a key to getting down the field. He broke that tackle by Derlin Moore, and Byron Bashnickel got over there and almost took care of Watlet.
Reggie Lewis, Tony Elliott, Frank Warren, a new front 3 in there along the defensive line with Bruce Clark staying in to make it a 4-man front. 3rd and 14. McMahon trying to find an open man, backed up to his 1-yard line, and the pass in the general direction of Matt Suey is incomplete. So the Bears will have to punt. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Tim, the Atlanta Falcons strike against the Detroit Lions. Steve Bartkowski pulls out. Alfred Jackson against the safety man. No contest. Alfred simply outruns him. A 54-yard touchdown. And Atlanta now leads by 10. Let's go back to Tim and Johnny.
All right, Brent, we're back here with the Bears. We'll have to punt. Parsons standing at his own 1-yard line. Number 86. Deep for the New Orleans Saints. Jeff Groth waiting for it at his own 42. Parsons, he kicks a dandy. Parsons backing up Groth to the 35. Flags are down. Groth is buried at the 43-yard line of New Orleans. And first man down was Dan Raines, number 53, reserve linebacker. Let's see what the flag is about. It was down in the area where Jeff Groth caught the ball. Illegal contact is being charged against the New Orleans Saints. 49-yard punt for Bob Parsons. Got a hang time in here in the air conditioning of 4.1.
I would say the Bears came out of that pretty well. A moment ago, they were backed up on their 2-yard line, and they got out of that situation.
Number 25, first down.
And New Orleans has the ball on their own 32-yard line.
Well, we're down to 9:03 remaining in the first half of play at the Dome. The New Orleans Saints holding a 10-7 lead over the Chicago Bears. Broadcast is presented by authority of the National Football League. Intended for the private use of our audience, any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New Orleans Saints and the National Football League is prohibited. So the Chicago Bears have a first, the Saints, pardon me, have a first down at their own 32-yard line following the huge punt by Parsons. Double tight ends in for the Saints. In motion behind the ball is Eugene Goodlow. The pitch to Wayne Wilson. Wilson is shut down for a loss, and a diving tackle by Mike Singletary, making an ankle grab and dropping him for a loss of about a yard, maybe 2.
Great play by Singletary. Went through a lot of traffic to make that stop as the Bears were in their, what they call their 46 defense. And Singletary, you know, he's looking for the signals now. You see him taking him from the sidelines from Buddy Ryan. But pretty soon he'll probably go out in the passing. Every time he makes a good play or throws somebody for a loss, they go into a passing situation, and a lot of times Singletary goes out. So you make a good play and you're out of the ball game. That's kind of unusual.
Yes, I'd say so. 2nd and 11. Duckett and Goodlow, the wide receivers. Stabler wants to throw, intended for Duckett. Richardson nearly intercepted. Mike Richardson. Stabler hung the ball up a little bit, and Richardson nearly had himself an interception down in Bears territory at the 35. The rookie from Arizona State.
Okay, let's take a look at Mike Richardson, who was plenty deep on the play. He wasn't going to get beat deep on that one. He almost made a great individual effort on the interception, but more importantly, he did stay back on his deep coverage. He's had a tendency sometimes, even though he's had deep coverage, to get a little bit the offensive receiver get a little too close to him, and then if the pass is just right, he gets beat. But this guy's going to be a good football player.
Walt Williams and Terry Schmidt are in defensively. 6 defensive backs on 3rd and 11. One setback for the Saints. Stabler up into the pocket. It is incomplete, intended for Lindsey Scott. Had he caught it, he had nowhere to go. Terry Schmidt was right on him. Let's take a look at the action in the NFL next week. You'll see on CBS Sports. New Orleans Saints will be at Dallas against the Cowboys. The Bears will be in Baltimore, and that is a little different starting time than you're used to in Chicago. 12:30 Central. You'll see the Bears at Baltimore, and St. Louis at Philadelphia, another regional game. New England leading the Jets 13-7 in the second period. Look at this.
Whoa.
Green Bay in front of the Rams 17-0 in the second quarter. And the doubleheader game, the Rams and the New York Jets. So quite an afternoon on CBS Sports. Willie Gault is the deep man for the Bears, in a long punt to the 15-yard line from Erxleben, and Gault gets it back to the 22 before he is stopped by the Saints specialists. And leading the way was Jim Peterzak, reserve center number 76. Big punt by Erxleben, a 55-yarder. So the Saints leading 10-7 with 8 minutes remaining first half. 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here at the Superdome in New Orleans, and the Chicago Bears will take over following a 55-yard punt by Erxleben. It is first down at their own 21-yard line. They had Willie Gault back to receive in his own end, hoping for the big return, but the Saints did the job. Suey moves up to the wing right. Peyton alone setback. Suey in motion behind the ball. Play action.
Oh,
fake.
wide open.
Wide open is Marjoram. Kenny Marjoram, he falls down and gets up at the 30. Marjoram still going. Inside the 20 to the 18-yard line, where Johnny Poe, number 25, with help from Dave Waymer, pulled him down. What a play for the Bears. When you say wide open, you can't possibly describe it as more wide open than that.
There had to be a mistake in the defensive backfield, but watch the faking by Jim McMahon. He hides that ball. Marjoram went right down the sidelines. For some reason, Poe stayed in short, number 25, and he went for the fake of the run. Whether he thought he had deep help, I do not know, but there's no way he should have been that wide open as Johnny Poe tries to come back for the tackle. Marjoram duking around a little bit, but finally Poe gets in on the tackle. But what a big play, and obviously a mistake in the New Orleans secondary.
First down for the Bears at the 18-yard line. Marjoram, I think, was so excited about having all that real estate to work with.
He stumbled after he got it.
Yes, he did.
Couldn't believe it.
They give us to Payton, and a good defensive play by Ricky Jackson. Nearly had him for a big loss, and still the Saints shut him down after a gain of only about a yard. On the tackle, Russell Gary, the safety, with Kovacs, the linebacker, number 52. 2-yard gain for Payton will make it 2nd and 8. The ball being spotted now at the 16-yard line of the New Orleans Saints. The Saints lead it 10-7. Well, we've had lots of offense, but only 17 points scored. It seems like the score ought to be about 23-20 or something by now. Mike Ditka.
He says what it takes for the Bears to win: scratching, clawing, and digging.
And some good defense. Put one for him his first game of the season last week against Tampa Bay. 2nd and 8. Payton has a hole up the middle inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. Pulled down from behind, but he had a huge hole in the middle. Took advantage of it.
There was no penetration by the Saints defense that time. As watch Hilgenberg, he's number 63, the center, and there's nobody over the guard, and then Hilgenberg just wheels out number 99, Tony Elliott, makes the big hole. So good block by 63, and the Saints really had very, very little penetration that time.
Saints defensively with a second unit along the front. Tony Elliott on the nose, Frank Warren and Reggie Lewis. All three of those players, however, do get a lot of playing time, along with Clark, Moore, and Wilkes. Starting. 3rd down, about a yard to go for a first down. Walter Payton inside the 10 is stopped. Looks like he probably squirmed for the first down yardage. We'll wait and see where they mark the ball. And it was linebacker,
I think he's a little short,
Dennis
Tim.
Winston, who made the hit on him with Reggie Lewis, number 98, the left defensive end.
Now, Mike Ditka is faced with the same situation that Bum Phillips was a few minutes ago, and it looks like Ditka is going to go for the field goal, at least apparently. Bob Thomas is out on the field, and he's going to settle for the 10-10 tie. But Ditka's an aggressive coach. You never know what he might come up with.
Dennis Winston has been the defensive stalwart, and there is the tall wide receiver Tyrone Young. His job is to get up there and try and block it. But Bob Thomas blasted through for the Chicago Bears, and so the Bears have tied things up here. At 10-10, we have 4:42 remaining in the first half. And go back and see that replay. Here's a specialist for them in this department, Tyrone Young.
Number 40, he's going to go up and try and time his leap. The old basketball player up to go for the dunk shot, and how close does he get? Pretty darn close. In fact, he was high enough, but it was a little bit to the right or left of his hand, and so he gave it a shot.
6'6" Tyrone Young, the rookie from Florida. We'll be right back. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at the Superdome. Bob Thomas will kick it off for the Bears, who have tied things up at 10-10. From just inside the goal line, Rich Motti, number 84. Motti gets out over the 20 to the 22-yard line. He's stopped there by Dave Duerson, the reserve defensive back. Right now, let's take you to Brent Musburger in New York.
Tim, here's how Green Bay got 17 points against the Rams. Their quarterback, Lynn Dickey, is having a sensational season. This is his 9th touchdown pass of the year. This one is to John Jefferson. And they still are dominating the Rams by 17 points. Back to Tim.
All right, Brent, of course, Bears fans watching all the Green Bay scores with great interest. The Pack has been picked as one of the contenders for the division crown. First down here for the Saints. Kenny Stabler intended for Lindsey Scott. Little mix-up there either by Scott or Stabler, because the ball was behind Scott. It looked like he was hesitating somewhat, making his cut.
They had both wide receivers on the same side that time, and You know, you can't miss connections on those short ones. They depend so much on them, as you see Stabler.
Would you call that a glare he was giving his receiver there?
He was saying, don't cross me up. And when you're a 14-year veteran who's thrown to a lot of great ones, Lindsey Scott's got to feel a little bit sheepish, but he'll make up for it. Kenny Stabler also.
The patriarch of passing, 2nd and 10. From his own 21-yard line, Groth and Goodlow, the wide receivers, and that is complete to Hobie Brenner, the big tight end, 6'4", 240-pounder. A first down for New Orleans to their own 44-yard line.
The Bears in a 3-man rush. They couldn't get to Stabler, and Brenner went straight down the field. He's got Todd Bell, who's covering 25 on the outside of him. When you throw it high like that and you get a big man like that up there, all Todd Bell can do is hope to jar the ball loose. Nice play by Stabler and Hobie Brenner.
So the passers continue to dominate the action. A 21-yard gain to Brenner. First down for New Orleans. And he has sacked Mike Hartenstein as Stabler was steered right into him, and Hartenstein was able to drop him for a big loss back to the 33-yard line of New Orleans.
He beat Stan Brock, 67, one of their fine offensive tackles, to the outside, and gets to the outside. Stabler had nowhere to go, and 73, Mike Hartenstein, who had 2 sacks last week, now has 3 in less than 2 games.
An 11-yard loss for the Saints. 2nd and 21. Off the gainer to Brenner. They find themselves back.
Lafari moved too soon, I believe. 64, the left tackle, and this will probably go against New Orleans.
Flags everywhere. Freddie Wyatt signals illegal procedure. Dave Lafari, the 7th-year man from Purdue, has withstood the challenge of high-priced Leon Gray out of Jackson State.
Ball start, number 64. 2nd down.
Gray came over in a trade from Houston last year and has not been able to displace Dave Lafari, although Gray has been hampered by an ankle injury. So it is 2nd and 26 now for the New Orleans Saints. Groth and Goodlow, the wide receivers. They're in the pro set. Guijon and Wayne Wilson. Stabler with time, and his receiver fell down. It's picked off by Frazier. Leslie Frazier, a flag down on the play. The pass was intended for Goodlow, who slipped on the carpet, and he may be charged with tripping the receiver, the interceptor, Leslie Frazier. Let's see what the call is. Discussion there with the officials, and a big play by Leslie Frazier. A tough break for Goodlow, who the Saints expect is going to be a star receiver in the NFL after 3 dazzling years in the Canadian Football League. One season he caught 100 passes.
And there's going to be a penalty tacked on to this situation, I assume, after the interception.
Tripping, number 88.
Yeah, it was Goodlow who had fallen. Frazier made the interception, and you'll see Goodlow get the leg out there.
You know, the people have been having trouble, a lot of slippage down on that new surface. As you see Gary Fensick, they go into the deep zone, everybody's off, and at the top of your screen you can see, now watch him slip, he goes down, Frazier comes up with the interception, and then Goodlow kicks back with his feet to make the tackle, and that is illegal.
So a big break for the Chicago Bears. First down from their own, from the Saints 34, but a sack on McMahon. Blasting in was Reggie Lewis and Ricky Jackson. Reggie Lewis, the 2nd-year man from San Diego State, and of course the Pittsburgh linebacker Jackson, real quick.
They put that blitz on. You'll see him come from the right side. Marjoram was wide open, but McMahon did not have time to react, and here comes 57 and Reggie Lewis 98, but it was 57, Ricky Jackson, who made the sack. And McMahon's been sacked a few times in the first 2 games. I think he had 5 going into this game.
Bobby Johnson and Rob Nairn are into the game defensively on the 2nd and 17 passing situation. Jay Sowley in motion back toward the ball. Out of the shotgun, they give it to Payton. Payton cannot make the turn at the corner. Got about 2 as Ricky Jackson battled with the blocker Rob Fata and turned Payton upfield. Good job by Jackson. 2:31 remaining here in the first half.
Somebody down on the field for New Orleans. Frank Warren, I believe it is, that is down on the field.
The right defensive end, a third-year man from Auburn. And Bump Phillips and his defensive staff have been using 2 sets of down linemen here. Clark, Moore, and Wilkes started. Lewis, Elliott, and Warren have seen plenty of action, and he's up and all right. Remember, coming up later here today, the second half of our CBS doubleheader this afternoon, the New York Giants at Dallas. The Cowboys making their home opener. And that great rivalry in the NFC East always has the Giants playing tough in Dallas. So that is coming up immediately following our coverage of the Saints and the Bears. 3rd down and 15 for the Chicago Bears at the 37-yard line of New Orleans out of the shotgun. McMahon.
5 defensive backs in.
McMahon running out of time. Will not get it away. A burst of speed by Reggie Lewis, catching up with McMahon, and the Saints defensively tough. So that'll bring up 4th down for the Chicago Bears, who failed to capitalize after the interception by Frazier.
Here comes Reggie Lewis from the outside, puts on the old speed, and McMahon, who's pretty quick for a quarterback, can't get out of it. He's trying to throw the ball downfield, and Reggie Lewis made the sack, and that's a great defensive series for the New Orleans Saints, who were put in a hole by the interception. So that can do a lot for a defense. These Saints play tough defense. They play out of the 3-4. Sometimes they go into the nickel. They have a lot of good defensive linemen.
So the 2-minute warning has sounded, and we still have ourselves a tie football game at the Superdome in New Orleans. Bears 10, the Saints 10.
Bears gives to the United Way because United Way supports the Salvation Army.
This is a scene of the Salvation Army we're all familiar with. But today, the Salvation Army is doing much, much more. Come on, I'll show you some of it. Here at the Salvation Army, there's a place for kids to get in off the streets. A place where they can learn about the dangers of drugs or alcohol. Here they can get a good start in life, a fresh start. The Salvation Army has been strengthening families and building better, stronger communities for over 100 years. Today, Salvation Army is working to hold the family together. Through family counseling, they serve all members of the family. The Salvation Army, helping people for over 100 years. All kinds of people, all year long. And thanks to them, thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way.
Now we do. Does that come here? The preceding message was brought to you by the National Football League. It is a 4th down situation here with 2 minutes remaining in the first half. And the ball at the 42-yard line of the New Orleans Saints after New Orleans did an outstanding defensive job following the Chicago Bears interception. Parsons standing back at his own 43-yard line at a 49-yarder in his last effort. Jeff Groth waiting for it at the 10-yard line of the Saints, no doubt expecting it to be over his head. Parsons angling for the corner, and he may wind up with a dandy. The ball bounces out of bounds at the 10-yard line for Bob Parsons. A beautiful punt. Let's take a look at some of the other scores here as we are approaching halftime. San Francisco now in front of St. Louis 14-7 in the second period of play. Atlanta doing a job on the Lions 17-0. So again, the Bears and the Packers are getting some help there. Meanwhile, Green Bay helping itself, leading the Rams 17-3 in the second quarter. Kansas City continues to lead Washington, another field goal by Lowry. And back here in New Orleans, we have a 10-10 tie, and the Saints have to start from their own 10-yard line. Stabler to Brenner. Kobe Brenner has a first down out to the 29-yard line. Otis Wilson and Todd Bell back on the coverage, but Brenner was open, and a quick play out of the New Orleans near the end zone. They get themselves quickly up to 29. To the 29-yard line, a 20-yard gain. Stabler. Incomplete, intended for Lindsey Scott, number 80. It'll be 2nd and 10. Frazier on the coverage. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, the NFL Today with Brent Musburger and Irv Cross will bring you up to date on all the scores and highlights. And our feature today, Irv Cross's Legends of the Game, will feature Charlie Connerly, the great Giants quarterback. 2nd and 10. 1:22 on the clock. Kenny Stabler, that's a lot of time. From the New Orleans 30-yard line. Stabler gets good protection. Complete to Wilson. He dropped the ball right into the hands of Mike Richardson, who gets it to the 41-yard line. Todd Bell put the lick on Wayne Wilson, and the ball popped right into the hands of the Bears. Mike Richardson.
This was a case where, watch number 54. He's going to cover Wilson coming out off the wing across the field. Now, 54, Cabral has no chance to stay with him. They've got a nice gain out of this. This would have been a nice drive to be continued. But watch him. He's hit by Cabral, strips the ball. And there's Mike Richardson, 27, who seems to be Johnny on the spot the last couple of games for the Bears as far as recovering fumbles. He recovered a key one last week as Mike Ditka now senses a chance for the Bears, who are at the 42-yard line and plenty of time on the clock, 1:13. There's Mike Richardson, 27.
Brian Cabral did a great job of stripping that ball. I saw Bell go underneath to make the hit, but Cabral was the one who tackled the ball from above. And a timeout has been called by the Chicago Bears with 1:13 on the clock. McMahon comes over to talk things over with Mike Ditka and Ed Hughes. And now ample time, of course, for Chicago, since they are in the Saints territory at the 42. They have only one more timeout remaining. Ditka, in the shot we saw there moments ago, looked a little irritated that they had to take time out here, knowing full well he would like to be saving 2 for this final 1:13.
Now, you can bet they're going to come up with a play that we haven't seen here in this drive. You save plays for certain situations. And the Bears obviously say, hey, something happens towards the half and we get the ball in. We're going to save this play for this situation because we've seen that they've done this on these kinds of situations. So I don't know what they'll come up with, but you watch. It'll be something that an action or a type of movement that the Saints have not seen yet in this game. So we'll see what they come up with. They have plenty of time. 1:13 left in the game. Peyton's knee apparently is okay. That's got to be that must have given Mike a few lumps in his throat. Ditka, when they said, hey, Walter's got a sore knee. Probably the biggest and most explosive offensive weapon in the NFL when you take every way that Peyton can hurt you. Running, rushing, pass receiving, blocking.
1:13 to go in the half. Nickel defense in for New Orleans. Bobby Johnson, number 34, the nickel back. First down for the Bears. Off the fumble recovery by Richardson.
There it was.
Play action.
Peyton
Up
in
the
motion.
middle, open is Peyton, and he makes the catch. Knocks down 2 defenders, both of whom are hurt on the play. And Peyton bounces back up as he was finally pulled down, but Watlet and Bobby Johnson colliding as he caught the ball at the 15-yard line of New Orleans.
What they did was they brought Peyton in motion. The first time he had been in motion this game, he goes in, went out into the slot, and goes straight down the field on the arrow, deeper than the linebackers. They're in the deep zone, which they expected. The Saints not let anybody get behind him, and you can see that it was over Whitney Paul, and here comes the collision. Peyton stopped, but it took a lot of beef to stop him, didn't it?
It's finally Paul who makes the tackle, but Johnson and Watlet collided with each other as they tried to combine on Peyton. And Bobby Johnson is yet to get up. The nickelback, first-year man out of Texas, who had been cut earlier and then re-signed with the injury to Rodney Lewis. And they are a little thin in the secondary. Of course, Vernon Perry just signed and in uniform today, the former Houston Oiler. So they have him available, and Bill Hurley. But Rodney Lewis has gone on to injured reserve, and Bobby Johnson is still being attended to. There is Vernon Perry, and Perry, fifth-year man from Jackson State, who the league finally allowed the New Orleans Saints to sign after his legal problems, and Houston had let him go during the preseason. He's been in camp here for a couple of weeks, and Bump Phillips, knowing him well from his Houston days, happy to have him now as a New Orleans Saint. So Bobby Johnson is up and apparently all right, a little sore after the collision with his teammate Frank Watlet and the very strong and durable Walter Payton.
I got to wonder, when you're sending Peyton in motion, they haven't seen him in motion, but when your linebackers see that action, to let him get clear there of the wing and then go straight down the field without somebody getting in front of him, making, adjust his pattern, you got to wonder, why you do that. You can't let Peyton get down clear and free straight down the field.
56 seconds remaining in the half. First down for the Chicago Bears at the 17 of New Orleans. A 10-10 tie. Give us to Peyton. He's got to go to hole up the middle and get to the 12-yard line. A flag down in the defensive secondary area. Let's see what the call is. Kovach made the tackle on Walter Payton. Holding is the signal.
Maybe that's why there was no penetration. Boy, there was a big hole there. In fact, the Saints didn't have any penetration. They had Kurt Becker, the guard, come over to throw a trap block, and there was nobody for him to block. So somebody must have been holding everybody.
Holding number 63.
Jay
First
Hilgenberg.
down.
63 is Jay Hilgenberg, has been getting more time at center.
If he
For the
keeps
Bears.
holding, he'll be getting less time.
He had a penalty earlier in this game.
Good football player, though. He's going to be playing more and more. As you can see, he's played quite a bit in this game. Dan Neal has been the starting center for years and years, and they're going to be sharing the duty, but with more and more time for Hilgenberg.
Third-year man from Iowa. Bill Hurley is in. Make 5 defensive backs in this passing situation. McMahon out of the shotgun. Moorhead in motion. Big rush. The ball is dropped and covered by the Bears, but back at the 42-yard line to New Orleans again. Comes up big defensively. Tony Elliott, the second-year man from North Texas State.
And the Saints went to a 5 defensive lineman situation. There are 5 big men right there. And look at this. Tony Elliott gets right through, puts the pressure on, and Hilgenberg, 63, was trying to throw the block, strip the ball loose, and Jimbo Covert, got it between his legs there.
Gerland Moore looking for the loose ball, and Covert able to hold on. It'll be second and what you call very long. They're now out at the 42-yard line. 24 seconds on the clock. 35 yards to go for the first down. Short pass to Suey, dropped the ball, incomplete. And again, a big rush. This time, it came from Frank Warren, number 73, who had been out briefly with bruised ribs. But the Saints are having a field day defensively, teeing off on the Bears offense in this final minute of the first half. 15 seconds on the clock.
Well, now the touchdown situation is obviously out. They have time to complete one pass and then go for the field goal situation. They have enough time to, even if it's an inside play, to call a timeout and stop the clock. I'm kind of looking for maybe, well, they're going into shotgun. Somebody over the middle because they're doubling all the outside guys.
Third and 35. Moorhead in motion back toward the slot. Turns it upfield. Flag down. McMahon runs it up the middle. He is dropped after a pickup of about 2. Trying to signal his final timeout. It was Frank Warren and Bruce Clark combining to pull him down. McMahon got the clock stopped with 9 seconds remaining. Fourth down at the 40-yard line. Penalty against the Bears. Illegal motion, the preliminary signal. And a little discussion with Mike Ditka about the next and final play of this half coming up very shortly. Brent Nerve with scores and highlights from around the NFL today, and Irv Cross's Legends of the Game. Charlie Connolly.
The Saints were debating on whether or not to take that penalty. They decided to take it to make sure that the Bears were out of field goal range.
Left guard.
But in that situation, they do give the Bears another play. I'm not so sure that I would have maybe refused the penalty because the Bears were on the, 42? It would have been too long of a field goal attempt and put them in a fourth down situation. But now they're in a third down situation, whereas if the Bears can complete one for 15, 20 yards, with 9 seconds to go, they would still have time to kick a field goal. So they could regret that decision. We'll see.
Third and 40 to go for first down. I don't think
they're shooting for the first down. Maybe if they are, they got delusions of grandeur.
I would say so. That's the official count out there on those stripes. 9 seconds on the clock.
No, I don't think I'd ever given the Bears another play. not for a 5-yard penalty.
Well, they'll have to get somebody out of bounds to stop that clock, so one could anticipate a deep sideline, I would think. If
Well, at the 9 seconds, you can actually complete a pass in the field of play, and since anybody can call a timeout now, you can, the receiver, as soon as he catches and falls down, can call a timeout, and they could maybe stop it with 1 or 2 seconds to go. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an out-of-bounds pass. Now the Saints have 4 rushmen, 5 defensive backs, and 2 linebackers. And everybody's playing off deep. What they're going to have to worry is about, oh, they're going to go for, they're faking at least with 3 receivers down here to throw the alley-oop. Let's see.
McMahon throws it. 3 receivers. It's going to be overthrown and intercepted by Johnny Poe. And Poe's going to bring it back upfield. Gets out to the 28-yard line as the half comes to a close. So the New Orleans Saints, with an outstanding defensive display, have stopped the Chicago Bears and will have a new game when the second half begins. The Bears 10, the Saints